Where do I start? I'm getting old. I'm 4 years shy of 40 now. And I'm getting nervous hitting the 40. They say that's when 40 is the new 30, but I'm not sure about that. My physical self is telling me otherwise. But it's good though. I never used to imagine that Saturday nights would be for podcasts and reading books as opposed to like saying, Aboti has slapped me, where is the after party? That guy died a long time ago. And I'm the uncle in the corner now. A few years back, I used to go to a spot, for example, and you look at the uncle in the corner and be like, hey, but my guy don't be now I'm that uncle. I feel like I'm that uncle. Yeah. As far as growing up is concerned, I grew up in a very loving home. Even though I didn't see it at that time, I think I appreciate it more now. My dad is a pastor. Yeah, it's a duomini. I know pastors' kids always catch a lot of slack in terms of the expectations of people. You know, people expect us to be perfect and not to say certain things, but that's not the case. So it kind of like messes up with you in terms of growing up and you being stuck between wanting to be yourself, wanting to just to express yourself freely, and caught between that. This is what people expect me to be like. So yeah. So looking back on that, typical African home. You've got a thing. I don't know if I can say that on TV. Yeah, and at some point I used to think, man, my parents don't probably love me. Like was a stout Kent. And when you grow up and you eventually become a parent as well, you start to understand that parenting doesn't come with a textbook. It's like a work in progress. What worked for them, what they believed worked for them when their parents were raising them, it's what they believe works for them when they were raising us. And I think it's different now. I think even as a parent yourself, you discover that not every mistake warrants a beating, but it's more of I can talk to my child and let them understand. Because at some point it didn't work for you or your siblings and they still turned out to be not as good as the parents expected them to be, despite the physical punishment. It's tough being a pastor's kid. Always have to be in church. And I think that impacts the relationship I have with church now. I don't really go to church as much. I always make a joke around church, and I say, like, I've been to church for so many times that I've enough bread and enough wine to last me 3 lifetimes. That's yeah. Also, I got caught up into music at some point. Yeah, I love music. It's always been something that I thought I would do. I still feel like I can do it. Still one of those unfinished chapters of my life. I used to rap. I used to be part of a situation. I used to be part of a hip-hop duo called Situation Kritikal. Here we go. Check it. A great band, some police niggas is so shady. Acting all friendly like the Mr. Bentley. But behind your back, you're the killer, you softly. Changes to own and constant. Road to success. It's bumpy like Johnson. I'm King Kong with the dash of Godzilla. Pack a mean punch like a Thriller in Manila. Dream B.I.G. No pun intended. I'm simply talented like Mr. Rippity. Roll like a bean. That's why the show that I host is called Situation Kritikal. That's Situation Kritikal with a K, by the way. I had to fight for that K because it's unconventional. Yeah. So Situation Kritikal was a duo of myself and a friend of mine called Celso Valente. He's from Angola. But he grew up all over because his parents were all over the place as well. And we met up in Moscow. That's where I studied. So I did my university, and we just clicked. We met through a cousin of his that shared a class with me. And we decided to come up with this thing. We both loved hip hop, and so what are we going to call ourselves? Situation Kritikal. So we were this 19, 18-year-olds approaching our 20s, wearing oversized T-shirts of Che Guevara, Malcolm X. We were woke, man, and everybody looked like they were still attached to the matrix. Like, people don't know what like victims of the system. It's very important to be social, to go out there and know people. But at the same time, not all relationships will have the same quality. There's certain individuals who you will trust more in terms of sharing certain aspects of your life, and then there are those who are just, at work, that's about it. I just know you as Joe, my colleague, and then outside of that, that's pretty much it. And I think the older you grow, you start being more selective about the type of relationships that you delve into as a human being, because there's certain spaces that you need to protect now. You're talking about your kids, your family, and whatnot. But relationships are definitely necessary, but also it's also very important to understand the type of value that you put on each relationship. Not all relationships are equal, of course. I have a crush. Are you talking about like everyday people crush or like famous people crush? Okay, but on a serious note, I think I have a crush on intelligent women. I have this thing for going or having conversations with females who understand what they want, confident in themselves, and I just have a knack for walking away with something I didn't know before, after we interact, so to say. And I always want to be that human being. I want to be like, when people refer to me, it's like, what is it about Jonas? The thing about Jonas is every time you talk to that guy, man, he plants a seed, and you're always going to walk away with some new information. And I kind of feel like that needs to be reciprocated in the conversations that I have, because I'm constantly hungry for knowledge. I really want to learn. Like, I don't know what Greek philosopher that was, but who said that every man who knows he knows nothing at all. Yeah, so the more you know, the more you realize, oh, damn, I know nothing. What do we say? I had an argument with this person, so I don't know if you're going to pick up. Oh, well. I'm just glad this is not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, well, we don't really talk much, but when we do talk, it's usually an hour or an hour and a half type of conversation. It's one of those relationships where you don't really hold grudges about where you left off. It's like that one friend that you bump into that you haven't seen for years. Then you just pick up where you left off, and when you say goodbye, it's like, ciao, no, you don't call me, whatever. So it's one of those things. Very intelligent, actually, very smart, very ambitious. But at the same time, it's one of those people, you ever look at somebody that's super talented and they still doubt themselves? They're like, yo, you could achieve so much more, but only if you could see yourself, from my stance. I think that's maybe the tragedy of a lot of talented people out there. It's the inability to see themselves from other people's perspectives. I think that's why we find it very difficult to accept compliments. We kind of feel like it's a tongue-in-cheek expression, or there was an underhanded thing going on. It's like, for example, who did I say this to? One of our colleagues in the admin blog. I said, wow, why is it that when black women are complimented, they think they don't want to take it that way? It's like, oh, really look nice today. Stop it, Jonas. Can't you just wow, thank you very much. Was that a new hairstyle? What do you want to say now? It's like, no, I'm just really, honest about, the fact that you really, really look nice. Maybe one day I'll get an answer to that. Maybe that has to do with the upbringing as well. But I think, when somebody gives me a compliment, take it. And maybe some people come from a very damaged space where they're in a relationship where everything they did was never really appreciated. Yeah, you try to go to the gym. It's like, I'll date fit face, but I'll not check about the gym. So that thing gets stuck on you because it's coming from someone that you really love and someone that you expect a lot of support from. And I think that's also the struggle that they have to do, coming out of that space and actually realizing that when somebody gives them a compliment, it's actually coming from a deeper space. Get the biggest gun possible. No, I'm just kidding. Let me perhaps. I always have this scenario playing in my head where I always want to talk to my younger self. What would I say to my 26-year-old self from now? You know, what would I do differently? It would be, and I think it goes to a lot of other men, younger or otherwise, who still having doubts about themselves. Do it.
What in my music when you hit you feel no pain? Your bullets in the brain like Kurt Cobain. Yo, Peach be like, yo, you sound like Jay-Z. I'm like, nah, man, it sound like Jamie. My check 1 2 1 2. What the kick you gonna do when I blow up like C4? Yeah, that's how I do. I keep it blazing like a Western classic. The John Wayne, I come rogue, I come played. Those mighty who wanna get free kicks like Beckham. Double R, swag man, call me the Phantom. Situation critical, mind philosophical. Peace.